Nick Jonas walking out of the Golden Globes 2026 wasn't loud, wasn't announced, and wasn't meant to steal attention, but it quietly became one of the most emotionally charged moments of the entire awards season because it revealed something far more powerful than shock value: vulnerability in a place where perfection is expected. On January 11, 2026, the Golden Globes unfolded at the Beverly Hilton in Los Angeles exactly as Hollywood tradition dictates. The red carpet shimmered under relentless camera flashes. Stylists made last-second adjustments. Publicists whispered reminders. Celebrities smiled through rehearsed sound bites, knowing every word could be dissected online within seconds. Inside the ballroom, the air buzzed with anticipation as the biggest names in film, television, and music gathered for one of the most visible nights in entertainment. Among them was Nick Jonas, polished, composed, and seated among industry royalty, attending the ceremony alongside his wife, Priyanka Chopra Jonas, who was presenting an award that evening. From the outside, the image was flawless: a global pop star turned actor, a successful producer and actress by his side, both representing a modern Hollywood power couple. Cameras captured them smiling, poised, and calm, exactly as expected. Nick was dressed sharply, attentive to the stage, applauding at the right moments. There was no sign that anything was off. But award shows are not short appearances. They are marathons. They stretch on for hours under bright lights, surrounded by noise, energy, expectations, and constant awareness of being seen. Every movement is potentially recorded. Every reaction might become a meme. For many, it's exhilarating. For others, it's quietly overwhelming. Midway through the ceremony, something unexpected happened. Nick Jonas stood up quietly without signaling to anyone and walked out of the main ballroom. There was no rush, no dramatic body language, no whispered exchange, no entourage following him. He didn't draw attention to himself. He simply exited. At first, it barely registered. Celebrities step out all the time. People assumed it was nothing. But minutes later, a short fan-recorded video surfaced online, and that's when everything shifted. The clip showed Nick outside the venue, standing alone near the greenery, holding a bottle of water, taking slow, deliberate breaths. He wasn't panicking. He wasn't smiling either. His shoulders were slightly tense. His posture was grounded but heavy, the posture of someone trying to steady themselves from the inside out. That single clip changed the narrative. And then the internet did what it always does. Speculation spread at lightning speed. Social media filled with theories, jokes, assumptions, and half-baked conclusions. Some fans thought he might be ill. Others wondered if something happened backstage. A few jumped immediately to relationship rumors involving Priyanka Chopra, despite no evidence whatsoever. There were sarcastic comments about celebrity privilege, jokes about award show boredom, and people insisting it was being blown out of proportion. But underneath the noise, something different was happening too. People started recognizing the moment. Nick Jonas didn't let the speculation spiral for long. When a fan suggested online that social anxiety may have overwhelmed him, Nick responded directly. There was no official statement, no damage control, no carefully crafted explanation, just one sentence that landed with unexpected emotional weight. "Yeah, it hit me like a gut punch." That response changed everything, because suddenly the moment wasn't mysterious, it wasn't scandalous, it wasn't dramatic in the traditional sense. It had a name: anxiety, overwhelm, emotional overload. And it wasn't theoretical, it was personal, immediate, and honest. The phrase gut punch struck an even deeper chord because of its timing. Just days earlier, Nick had released a new single titled Gut Punch, the first track from his upcoming album, Sunday Best. The song dives into internal conflict, emotional pressure, and the exhaustion that comes from constantly holding yourself together. It talks about being your own harshest critic, about smiling while feeling fractured, about carrying invisible weight. In hindsight, the Golden Globes moment felt less like an accident and more like a reflection of where he is emotionally and creatively. What made this moment resonate so deeply was how unexpected it was. Nick Jonas has spent most of his life in front of audiences. He grew up performing on massive stages as a teenager. He has faced screaming crowds, live TV mishaps, relentless criticism, and global attention reputation for years. He has built a reputation for discipline, professionalism, and control. If anyone seemed built to handle high-pressure environments, it was him. And yet, anxiety doesn't discriminate. It doesn't care about experience. It doesn't care about fame, money, or success. It doesn't wait for a convenient moment. It arrives suddenly, sometimes without warning, and demands attention in the most physical ways possible. As the clip spread, fans started sharing their own stories. People talked about panic attacks that hit in grocery stores, at weddings, at work meetings, at parties they were supposed to enjoy. They talked about leaving rooms without explanation, stepping outside to breathe, feeling embarrassed for needing space. Many said watching Nick Jonas do the same thing on one of the biggest nights of the year made them feel seen. Mental health professionals weighed in, explaining how anxiety often manifests physically: tight chest, dizziness, shallow breathing, emotional flooding. They pointed out that stepping away is not weakness, it's regulation. It's listening to your body before things spiral. Instead of backlash, Nick was met with compassion. Fans praised him for choosing self-awareness over endurance, for not forcing himself to stay seated just to maintain appearances. Others highlighted how rare it still is for male celebrities, especially those marketed as confident and composed, to openly acknowledge anxiety without disguising it as stress or exhaustion. The moment also brought renewed attention to Nick's long history of openness about health. Diagnosed with type 1 diabetes at a young age, he has spoken for years about living with constant physical and mental responsibility. Managing blood sugar, energy levels, and stress is not just medical, it's emotional. Over time, pressure accumulates, even when someone appears outwardly strong. That context matters. Because moments like this don't happen in isolation. They're often the result of years of momentum, expectation, and internal dialogue that never really stops. Inside the ballroom, the Golden Globes continued without disruption. Awards were announced, jokes landed, applause filled the room. Priyanka Chopra remained composed, professional, and supportive, later rejoining Nick without any visible tension. There was no meltdown, no dramatic scene, no emergency response, just a pause. And somehow that pause became one of the most talked about moments of the entire night. Of course, critics had their say. Some dismissed the attention as exaggerated. Others accused people of projecting too much meaning onto a brief exit. A few skeptics even suggested it was calculated, though those claims quickly faded given Nick's understated response and refusal to sensationalize the moment. What couldn't be denied was the cultural impact. This wasn't attention driven by scandal. It wasn't fueled by outrage or controversy. It was driven by empathy. In an industry that rewards endurance and punishes vulnerability, Nick Jonas showed that stepping away can be an act of strength, that listening to your body matters more than meeting expectations, that even on nights built around image, prestige, and celebration, you're allowed to choose yourself. The timing also aligned perfectly with the direction of his artistry. His current era leans inward, more reflective, more emotionally honest, less focused on surface-level perfection. Sunday Best as a title alone suggests contrast, looking put together while carrying unseen battles. The Golden Globes moment unintentionally reinforced that message in a way no promotional campaign ever could. It reminded audiences that artists don't just write about emotions, they live them. And perhaps, most importantly, it normalized something millions of people experience but rarely see represented on glamorous stages: the need to step outside, breathe, and reset without apology. Nick Jonas didn't walk out of the Golden Globes to make a statement. He didn't ask for headlines. He didn't turn it into a spectacle. But by being honest afterward, he transformed a quiet exit into a powerful reminder. You don't owe anyone your discomfort. You don't have to suffer silently, and you're allowed to leave the room. In a night filled with trophies, scripts, and carefully managed moments, the most unforgettable scene was a human one, unplanned, unfiltered, and real. And that's why this story will linger long after the award season fades. Make sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more celebrity updates just like this.